Today's top stories at NBR. A warning: systemic failures at WorkSafe are putting consumers and workers at risk. A clash of the global media titans is playing out on New Zealand television and streaming platforms. Heartland Group boosts its stake in online lender Harmony Corp. And there's more coming right up. Kia ora and welcome to NBR Today, a wrap of the day's top business stories from the authority in New Zealand business news since 1970, nbr.co.nz. It's Wednesday, July 7th. I'm Paul Brennan. Thanks so much for joining us. The budget's announcement of $400 million to spend on IT for the new national health system should be meat and drink for local software company Orion Health, but there appears to be mixed feelings for its founder, Ian McRae. He joined the NBR's Hayden Green.
Changing the hospital software wouldn't seem to deliver that much value, in fact, of any value whatsoever. Where the investment now internationally is not in hospital systems, it's in population health. And what we discovered from this pandemic is the gap, the need is outside of hospital walls.
Orion Health founder Ian McRae with Hayden Green there. Deep negotiations between dairy farmer organisations and the government on how to bring in foreign workers may lead to a solution in the next few days, after weeks of delay as details were hammered out. Talks have been tangled further by glaring points of difference in similar critical exemptions granted to 300 teachers, which were announced over the weekend. Dairy NZ General Manager of Responsible Dairy, Jenny Cameron, said the delay in processing applications for the farm workers scheme is related to deep negotiations between the Ministry for Primary Industries, the Ministry for Business Innovation and Employment, the Ministry for Foreign Affairs and Trade, Federated Farmers and Dairy NZ. One criterion still in flux is the level of pay the workers would have upon entry, she said. One of the country's main compliance certifiers has warned that systemic failures at WorkSafe are putting consumers and workers at risk, with poorly trained staff undermining efforts to promote compliance with safety rules. In a letter to WorkSafe Chair Ross Wilson on June 8, DG Compliance Managing Director James Dumfrey said he believed WorkSafe's negative influence on the compliance environment was widespread. One of several examples in the letter was its handling of a big box hardware store in the Hutt Valley. He said the result is the Hutt store has been certified to hold 5 times the quantities of flammable liquids that it's lawfully allowed to store, and no apparent action has been taken, saying children will be playing in the playground surrounded by flammable liquid and without the fire protections required by the regulations. Local investors are the most confident they've been in financial markets for 8 years, but the regulator is keeping a keen eye on the incredibly quickly changing demographic of investor, driven by more people buying shares through platforms. Financial Markets Authority Chief Executive Rob Everett also said there remained a large proportion of people standing on the sidelines of investing who lack the confidence to get involved. The FMA's annual survey of investor confidence, released today, found 72% of respondents are confident in New Zealand's financial markets, up from 66% in 2020. It was the first time confidence has exceeded 70%. The survey dates back to 2013. A clash of the global media titans is playing out on New Zealand television and streaming platforms, with TVNZ announcing today it had struck a deal with US media giant NBC Universal from July this year for thousands of hours of content from Universal's massive global stable of scripted TV and film content. TVNZ is keen to knock Netflix off top spot as the country's #1 streaming service, but as from a few weeks ago, has an emerging local threat as well. MediaWorks owner Discovery, another global content behemoth, said it was doing away with the modestly performing 3Now on-demand platform to install its own Discovery streaming service. NZX-listed Heartland Group has boosted its stake in online lender Harmony Corp in a $2.7 million series of on-market trades. In a disclosure to the NZX this morning, Heartland said it bought 1.7 million shares between June 25th and July 6th at an average $1.61. The purchase increased its stake from 8.4% to 10.1%. Heartland Chief Executive Jeff Greenslade said the purchases were simply taking advantage of the Harmony share price. The full details of those stories and more are at nbr.co.nz right now. Tomorrow at NBR, Brent Edwards' political column this week poses the question, how can we lift the standard of political debate in New Zealand? Plus, one of the country's tech incubators will make an announcement on its first investment tomorrow morning. I'm Paul Brennan. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow from around lunchtime for the morning's NBR trending stories. Then same time, same place, right here from 5:30 again tomorrow evening for another NBR Today.